Well, I think a lot of us in life and a lot of people in life almost live um, a lie sometimes because it's not really who being an athlete, excuse me, was special to me. People don't look at what formed the person that you become at all. And I know with me, I was almost ashamed of any success I had. Yeah, that would be hard for people to believe. Winning was the only thing that mattered. I didn't play for myself. I didn't play for adulation. The thing that mattered most to me, honestly, was to win. But I played for the fans and obviously for your teammates. It was such an awkward, complicated life for me to go when I first came to Los Angeles. And I had a lot of success in college as a player, and I could have gone to a lot of different schools because of my high school career. But I wanted to go to my state university for whatever reason. I just wanted to go there. And frankly, it's the best thing I've ever done because my connection with West Virginia is still very strong. As I told Steve, I wish I had been able to amass a lot of money because that would have been completely the charity of my choice, even though I've done some things for the university to
Mhm,
try to help kids get an education and to
mhm,
honor my brother who was killed in Korea. But the awkward part of it is to, even at this point in time, I was reading last night and I'm saying to myself, I wish I would have done something really important in my life, something really important. And I'm serious, Andrew.
mhm,
Uh, Being an athlete was easy. I was given a gift. I was ultra competitive, and even today I'm competitive. But I just wish that I could have made an impact on a world in some different way.
mhm,
And when you go to bed at night and you start thinking about things like that, you realize there's so much more in this world that is important than just being an athlete. And yet people will, fawn over people. More importantly, they will look at athletes as put them on a pedestal. And oftentimes we don't belong on that pedestal. And I think the greatest lessons I've learned in my life is giving, being kind to everyone. Um, I don't hate anyone. I mean, I literally don't hate anyone. I've had people in my life that have been very deceptive that I have not cared for. I don't hate anyone,
mhm,
but I wish everyone would adopt an honesty policy when we're dealing with each other
mhm.
instead of in this league, players talk about each other behind their back, criticize each other. This guy's not that good. That guy not that good. I just wish everyone would let people be who they are. Stop. I keep hearing this Mount Rushmore stuff, okay, for basketball players. Well, listen, we have a lot of players in this league who have had very good careers, but I look at them and everyone talks about them as the greatest players. Heck, they make the all pro team one time.
Mm, mhm,
That to me is not a great player. Someone is a great player. You've got to make at least a minimum of 8 times.
mhm.
That to me would define a truly great player.
Yeah.
And my definition of greatness and other people's definition of greatness is far removed from what people celebrate today.
Yeah.
But I say I've been lucky in my life. I'm thrilled that I was able to have a career like I had. Disappointed that we didn't win more championships for the city of Los Angeles. As I say, I've had a lot of sadness there with the Lakers, a lot of joy, I guess at the end, a lot of disappointment.
Mm. Um, Jerry, I got to differ with what you said because athletes now, I guess maybe in your time it wasn't as true, but there are exceptions to that too. But now athletes have such a voice through their platforms, and they can be a hero on the court, which is great, and we see that with all the big stars in all the leagues, but they can really affect social change. They can really affect voting. Can they can bring bring topics to the forefront that have been left in the shadows. And one of those, very importantly, is mental health issues. And, Kevin Love has led the way in the NBA with that. But I honestly have to say that your book, which came out 9 years ago, and coming from you with your history and who you are, I really give you the credit for leading the way in opening the conversation for mental health of athletes. Quite frankly, I do. And I know you don't ever want to see yourself as a trailblazer or anything like that, but I think that gave athletes of today, it empowered them to come forward and speak.
Well, I think we all, I don't know, all, if everyone does, because you have so many different people to talk to. I never sought help in my life for my particular problems. And I used to say, suffer in silence. And I sort of learned how to deal with it personally.
Mm-hmm.
There were some days that I'd wake up and frankly, I didn't want to wake up. And, when you see the enormous amount of suicide today, and I'm sure this pandemic, people inside not interacting with their friends, it's difficult. It's really, really difficult. And for me, there was times, honestly, Andrew, that I know a couple of times after we lost in championships, uh, I didn't want to be around. And it was a horrible, horrible feeling to say someone who was I think you always think you're healthy. You don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
But someone in maybe physically the prime of their life, competing for the biggest prizes, and it was almost like a total rejection. Mm-hmm. And when you reject people and when you only care about yourself, and honestly, I see that so much today. Self-promotion, people lying like crazy about who they are. Why can't people just be honest about who they are and the problems they face? And I think this would be a better world. We're creating so much division in this country by people fudging on the truth all the time and not being candid. And sometimes they get by with it. And sooner or later, I think there's a day in their life when they're going to be older and not as relevant. Maybe they'll look at themselves. I wish I hadn't have done this. I wish I hadn't said that. And there's so much of that that goes on in this world, but in the sports world, where there's so many different personalities involved, where there's so many people who want to be relevant. Some of them embellish who they really are. But as you mentioned, the players have an enormous platform to help make a change. And I think anything related to mental health, emotional stability, probably the worst thing in the world, I think, when you have this problem with with yourself and the person you talk to all the time is you. You don't talk to anyone else unless you seek help. It's just a god awful feeling to have look at yourself and have no self-worth at all, regardless of what you've accomplished. And, I think today you see so many, and I see these very accomplished people in sports and people who are writers, creative, really smart people. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you look and they're gone by their own doing. And it's so sad to see people who are so gifted and so talented leave much too early.
Yeah, it's true. And there is help out there.